Right in the heart of Jackson, Mississippi, there's this massive, forgotten piece of land. It's a silent reservoir that holds the memories of a really divided past, but also, just maybe, the potential for a totally unified future. It's a fascinating story about community, development, and a city that's really at a crossroads. And when I say massive, I mean it. We're talking about 640 acres. To give you some perspective, you could take the entire downtown area of Jackson, drop it right inside this property, and you'd still have room left over. I mean, it is a completely unheard of blank canvas right in the middle of a city. And hey, don't just take my word for it. That's a direct quote from an architect who's actually involved in the project. It just perfectly captures the scale of the ambition here, you know? This isn't just about redeveloping some land. We're talking about reshaping an entire city. So, with a canvas this large and stakes this high, what's the grand vision? I mean, what could Jackson's forgotten lake actually become? Let's dive in. Well, the vision for Lake Hico is incredibly ambitious. Planners are picturing this vibrant, mixed-use community hub. We're talking affordable housing, new businesses popping up, sports complexes. They're imagining huge outdoor concerts right there on the shore. Families enjoying these beautiful green spaces, and community education programs really taking root. The goal isn't just to build something, it's to create a real destination for everyone in Jackson. And that, of course, brings us to the crucial question. If this land is so valuable and it holds so much promise, why on earth has it been fenced off and just left to rot for over 50 years? Well, the answer is, it's buried in the city's painful history. Because the story of Lake Hico, it isn't just about land. It's about a wound, really, one that was left open from the Jim Crow era. The timeline here is just, wow, it's stark. Lake Hico opens back in 1957, but its picnic areas, its boat ramps, all of it was explicitly for white residents only. Then, in 1968, as the civil rights movement made segregation illegal, the officials in charge had a choice. They could either integrate the lake or close it. They chose to lock the gates. And for more than half a century, it has stayed that way, basically a monument to exclusion. This quote from Harvey Johnson, who would go on to become Jackson's first black mayor, just makes this history so deeply personal. Think about it. He lived right there, seeing this beautiful lake every day that he and his family were forbidden from enjoying, simply because of the color of their skin. So that history, it hangs heavy over everything happening today, and it's created this fundamental conflict about the best way to move forward. You've got two very different visions for how to bring Lake Hico back to life. Okay, so this is a crucial point to understand who's actually in charge here. Lake Hico is on what's called 16th section land. In simple terms, that means it's controlled by Jackson Public Schools, and the school district's main job is to use this land to make money for students and teachers, which, as you can imagine, adds a whole other layer of complexity to every single decision. And this slide really lays out the divide perfectly. On one hand, you have the official process. It's a big 30-year master plan focused on making a huge economic splash by bringing in major developers. But on the other hand, you have community activists. They're calling for a much faster 10-year reopening that's all about public access and something they call civic repair. Actively healing that wound left by segregation and making sure the community benefits first and foremost. This conflict brings us to the people who've lived in the shadow of that locked gate for decades, the residents of the neighborhoods right next door. And for them, hope for the future is mixed with a really deep-seated history of distrust. You go to these community meetings and residents are asking some really tough questions. They see crumbling streets right outside the fence, and they worry that some shiny new development is going to leave them completely behind. They're worried about being shut out of the planning, that all the money is just going to flow to outside developers, and most of all, that this will become just another broken promise in a long, long line of them. And I mean, this quote from a resident at a public meeting, it says it all, doesn't it? It's a direct, unambiguous message to the people in charge. The community is paying very close attention, and their trust has to be earned. It's not just going to be given. Now, to their credit, officials do seem to be hearing this. The JPS superintendent responded directly to that sentiment. He promised to set up a community work group, and he was specific, saying not a watchdog group, which implies conflict, but a collaborative work group where residents can actually roll up their sleeves and be part of the process right from the beginning. So when you put all of this together, the history, the grand visions, the community distrust, it becomes so clear that the future of Lake Hico is about so much more than just a piece of property. It's really a defining test for the city of Jackson. And in a lot of ways, it's a story we're seeing play out in cities all across the country. At the end of the day, the technical challenges developing 640 acres, those are solvable. You can hire architects and engineers for that stuff. But the real work, the much harder work, is rebuilding the trust that was shattered all those decades ago when that fence first went up. And so, this is the question that just hangs over everything. Is Jackson going to seize this once-in-a-century opportunity to heal a historical wound and create a new symbol of inclusion and shared prosperity? Or will Lake Hico just stay a monument to what could have been, another broken promise on the landscape of the city? The answer, whatever it is going to define Jackson for generations to come.